Good morning, Turtle Club. How is it going? I am Mag Synchro with Convertible Turtle Gaming, and this is it's been a long time coming. That's the best way I can say it to start with. This is Fortnite Save the World. This is a game that I fell in love with back in 2017. Many of you may remember the exploits of Digrat, Alienated One, and Mag as they traipsed through the world of Fortnite and had this wonderful, amazing time playing with each other until Fortnite became Battle Royale. And then when Fortnite became Battle Royale, a lot of things changed. And here we are, 2020, and I don't know what possessed me to pick it up. I really don't. I remember going through like my Epic Games stuff, and it was sitting there, and I was like, man, it's been just so long. Alienated One had started playing Battle Royale for a bit, and he said it was okay, and he had a good time with it. I thought, well, maybe I'll see exactly what all they've done to this game. Now, there are a number, and I do mean a number of changes that have occurred, and we're going to go over a few of those. This is going to be kind of for those that are not Fortnite people who have not played the game before. You'll get some good information out of this. The people that have played before and stopped, once they kind of got to the same point that I would, we'll get some better information. But the first thing to kind of go in on Fortnite is the biggest changes is to the whole entire interface. Used to be you had like quests, maps, these tabs, locker kind of showed up out of nowhere. Store is, as always, your actual currency, and that's one of the biggest first changes to discuss. Is this game was early access, $39.95 would have gotten you the game, and you've been able to play and got some really cool perks and frills from it. I can report that that's no longer the case for the price and for the perks and the frills. A few things that differed. The first thing that they were going to do is this game was going to be free to play with all of this microtransaction stuff supporting it. And there's quite a bit of microtransactions. We have all these V-Bucks to get, and the V-Bucks will let you go in the llama shop, and in the llama shop you can get X-ray llamas. Now this I feel is one of the first kind of big changes to the game, was the fact that now when you go to buy a llama,
how safe are these X-rays?
they're X-rayed. You can see exactly what you're about to get in a llama. Now, I mean, you can see there's a couple recipes I don't have. They already marked those for you with an exclamation point. There is a ticket currency that's in there. So there, and that's the other thing, is the way the microtransactions have gotten microed. So we're gonna just to show you. I mean,
Am I gonna get superpowers?
because there's two things I don't have already, we'll just go ahead and that'll help us explore some other things in this new system. We're gonna go ahead and buy it. Takes 50 V-Bucks.
Ready for the gold rush.
You already know it's gonna be gold because it already showed you that it was a gold llama. And here is, instead of going through this whole entire process where it's like having you see each thing as it drops down, it just automatically busts it. So that was the first, big change, is you get to see what's in the llama. The second thing that you can see now is when you hover over certain things, it'll tell you how many of these you have. So you can see that this is my second Viper, this is my second Support Specialist Hawk, my second Mighty Slugger. So we can automatically from here start recycling, and recycling is just a way to get some stuff out of the inventory. We'll go into that a bit more in detail as well. We can see we got two of the same Viper. This is the Space Invader ray gun. We only own one of it. Rare survivors, we recycle anything that's not epic on our survivors or legendary. So from here we can automatically just do a recycle. It'll tell us what we got. If any of these are collectible, which we'll also touch on as well, it'll automatically collect those. Those are some nice quality of life changes. So you don't always get an actual X-ray. It doesn't say it's an X-ray, but they are all X-rays. And you can, again, you can see what they are. So these tickets and the one-liners the llamas give are always going to be something that you're going to get when you go to a llama, because they chain into the current plot llama, is what I call them. Listed under the loot tab, and these llamas are going to be stuff that are central to the story that you're currently playing on. Now we'll see that, like here, I got 271 tickets, so clearly if I wanted to get a rad llama to kind of show you what those were, I would need some way to get 250 tickets, 230 tickets. So we go over here, we see that here I got 200 tickets I can get, so we'll go ahead and just spin that. And again, instead of seeing every single thing as you get it, you actually get to we'll actually undo that. You get to see every single possible thing that you're going to get. So there's 200 tickets. We're done there. Bam. So we don't really need another one of those. Really don't need another one of those, so we'll cool it on the Red Llama, and we'll get to that in just a little bit later. But that was the easiest way for us to get tickets. You could see if we really wanted to burn our V-Bucks, we could absolutely get the silver one. The last thing is something that they just added to the game before we stopped playing, which was gold. And this was largely presumed at the beginning to be a way that they were going to press into the world of free-to-play, is that gold was going to be the basic currency and V-Bucks was going to be the expensive currency. And lo and behold, here we are several years later, and that looks exactly what's going on with it. You can notice that my gold versus my V-Bucks, there's definitely a difference in how much of each I get. There is a weekly shop, which is kind of cool. It'll always have the same kind of resource materials and with a limit, and then you'll have these rotating kind of interesting things. The event items is the real big thing. You'll notice if you watch where I scroll down here, there's quite a number of these event tunes that I've bought. These event tunes are unique. They can sometimes be unlocked by questing. They can sometimes only be unlocked by the shop. In this case, you can unlock them through other means, which they've recently really ramped up on. But for the most part, these are your primary ways to get it. So here's Dennis. I've been kind of eyeing him a little bit. 3,200. It doesn't show you how much you have, which is kind of irritating, but you can see here where it is. And we'll go ahead and buy Dennis as a hero. Successfully purchased Dennis Jr. Totally complete. Quest complete, totally gnarly. It's a quest that I didn't even know. You actually can get from most mythics, you can get what's called a team perk. And we'll be going over that once we get to heroes and their changes. But for the shop stuff, you can see where, there is some microtransaction-y stuff. So you get a little bit more than what you could have gotten. There's nothing totally wrong with that. But it used to be you just got llamas, and now you get llamas that can get you other llamas, which can get you possibly some gold. Very rarely do I see gold out of a llama, but it just kind of chains together. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we're going to go take a look at is the locker. So call out explaining exclusive item behavior. Alright, so that's interesting. So here we can see this locker thing. Now, Fortnite Battle Royale introduced a lot of customization. And I have peeked my head in Battle Royale. I'm aware that Galactus is here. I'm aware before that we had some DC stuff. One thing you can do is skin your character to where your character will always look the exact same. Battle Royale, that's fine. I have no problem with people doing that in Battle Royale. It's like, okay, whatever. In Save the World, there are some issues. My personal issue with Save the World doing the skin thing is, and it's not saying that all the other customizations are bad, but the main character skin, if I'm playing with people and they're running around with a ninja, so this is Alchemist Sarah. She's a Christmas limited edition hero that you can get through other ways these days as well. But she's a healer. If you're running around with a totally different looking Sarah than this, but you're playing Alchemist Sarah, I may get confused when you start doing things like throwing smoke bomb all the time. Which is to say that's that can cause some confusion. But the locker has all these other interesting things that you can use. Wraps, which when you actually use a wrap, all it does is it makes a texture pack on the weapon that you're using. Again, not horrible, not game breaking or anything, but it does cause some issues if you're like, oh wow, that's that weapon. No, it's not. It just looks like somebody else's weapon. Emotes are exactly as you'd think. They are just ways to do certain things by expressing yourself. You can get all of this and more, pickaxes and the like, from the Battle Royale store. I've not purchased anything out of the Battle Royale store, but I have managed to unlock a few things, such as the Shooting Star Staff. If I were to get the Battle Pass, I would have a couple of outfits from Battle Royale available now. And let's see, edit style. Let's see, that's another thing, is there's multiple styles that you can unlock from various picks, and they're all cosmetic. Some of these things are kind of cool. Don't get me wrong. And it's a good way for them to be able to make some money. I just wish that it was one of those things that was more in tune, in line with Save the World. But now we're going to get to some of the meatier stuff here. And we're going to go through command first. And we're going to skip through a little bit of this, going straight to research. Now, way back in the day, research was a talent tree based system where you had to plot out and plan out how you're going to customize your character, and it made characters, in my opinion, extremely unique. You're able to go through with your research points. These were the things that would just, when you were sitting doing absolutely nothing in the game, they would slowly tick some research points. And if we go to like show details here, you'll notice our tick on our research points is 150 per hour, which means every 20 hours we get 3,000 research points, which means every day we get to up one of these by 1. It's not a bad rate for just simply existing. Eventually these will go up enough to where we will be able to hit the cap for what all these are. However, as you quest and play through the game, you will earn rewards that improve research capabilities as you increase your account level. So that's this here, account level. So we get pretty decent. That's the first thing that they changed over here, was the research. The second thing they changed was the upgrades. There used to be a talent tree just like research, and you used to be able to go through and plot where you wanted to do, how you wanted to build your character out, and it made some hard decisions. You had to decide if you were going to go for like the soldier area of the tree, which is where you would see like the bomb strike and the hover turret, or you had to decide if you're going to like the outlander area, which was where you would find things like the adrenaline rush and the supply drop, or the ninja area, which is where you'd find things like the slow field and the proximity mines, or the constructor, which you would see the banner and the teleporter. That's totally gone. They've completely removed that. Now it's just go in, figure out what you're going to use, and then spend some points on it. And then in some cases, be sad if you spend points on it. And if you are sad that you spent points on it, you can come through and you can reset. If you get the refunds all the way done, I don't know what the currency cost is. I don't foresee myself being super concerned over that part. So those were the two huge changes to the way you basically were able to customize your character. The other thing, though, is the heroes themselves. Once upon a time, all of the heroes had, let's call them unique factors. So Base Kyle, this is the first guy that we ran with forever ago. He had, as a constructor, he had a discount on building stuff. When you would build, it would actually be reduced because you're a constructor. You also got some extra perks for being a constructor involving buildings. As you can see here, those class perks are no longer the case. The other thing that they got, though, is that they got this thing called base, which improves the base. Constructors still have that. Kinetic overload, I don't recall them all having that. Now, keep in mind, it's been 2.5 years. But they didn't all have, per my memory, kinetic overload. That was one of those things that individual constructors would have. So they kind of consolidated some of the more, like, core kind of class things into one area. And I'm okay with that. You know, that these things happen. Yeah, alright, whatever. Commander perks are a new thing now, and you get your standard ability and you get your commander ability, and they were starting to kind of do that before things changed, where you could have certain characters tie in to give like a bonus if they were in your party, but they've really fleshed that out a lot. I like that. It works pretty good. But that's, you know, it's one of the changes they made. Abilities, there are about 5, maybe 6 abilities per class now. So, like, we'll see here that Kyle's got Bull Rush, Rosie, and Plasma Pulse. But if we go to, like, Kyle the 13th, we can see that he's got Decoy, and he's got Plasma Pulse and Bull Rush. And if we go to, let's say, Harper, she's got Plasma Pulse, Rosie, and Decoy, which is a new constructor ability, which we'll show off when we go in. So if you'll notice, once you kind of start looking, going constructor is another new thing that they got. So, you know, this type of character, you have a total of 6 possible abilities, and the bonuses are very wild and very varied. Increases decoy duration, decreases decoy cooldown, increases radius of plasma pulse, increases club damage, structures get healing, increases plasma pulse damage, increases repair speed. All the things that you would notice that basically a constructor for the most part is always doing or using. They get some benefits and bonuses here. Some, not so much. Like Prehistoric Iza. While shield's depleting, increases armor by 33 or by 100, depending upon where she's at in your party. These things, you know, they kind of tie into stuff, right? They kind of let you sort of customize how you want your character to be. But they, at the end of the day, I find that the character that I'm playing with, while these are important somewhat, I'm finding that I care more about this. And some characters you'll notice that I've not even touched leveling wise. And it's because of that. Like Blakebeard. As a commander perk, he increases cannonball damage by 40% and converts Rosie to fire 25 cannonballs. Cool. If I cared about using Rosie, I would be okay with that. But Rosie's kind of not one of my things that I like, number one. And number two, you're basically talking about increasing damage by 20% for Rosie. Or 40% for Rosie. Only if you got the cannonballs. It just doesn't seem like all these characters are as ooh and ah as they used to be. But that's the constructor. That's the way they've changed them. We'll go to soldiers. And I don't play a single soldier character. Digrat was between the two of us, the soldier player. But we'll go ahead and take a look at the soldier perks. For being a soldier, you get a perk that ups your damage while you're shooting a target consecutively. If you're needing to shoot a target more than 5 times, in most zones that I go into, more than 3 times, you're probably not going to win the fight. This is, in my opinion, from what I've just seen in the last week or two that I've been kind of tinkering with this to get ready for today's stream and this month's stream series on Fridays. I can see why soldiers are just kind of not really used by anybody that's doing high-end quality game content in the end zones. Except for some very specific soldiers with some very specific abilities. For some very specific zones. Stay Frosty. After actually killing 3 things, you get 10% bonus, instability 35% for 7 seconds. Any elimination refreshes this. So if you can't kill something, this will help you kill it. If you do kill something, this will help you kill more. That's a bit of a... There's problems. You know, this kind of just base perk, something needs to change with this. I don't know what they'll be doing, if they ever do anything with it, because now that this game is out of early access and now it's been a released game, the content, the tweaking that they're doing for all this doesn't seem like it's going to be something that they're going to focus on. That's another big change, which we kind of glossed over. This game is no longer moving to be free to play. Instead, it is, at the moment, $15.99 to buy. Under store, if you are in Battle Royale, the Metal Team Leader Pack for $15.99 will get you access to Save the World. For a little bit, they gave it free to everybody, presumably, and then they didn't. So yeah, so back to our little heroes here. So that's what they did for soldiers. Some of these soldiers had some really interesting stuff. I mean, Shockwave is an AoE, Frag Grenade is a ranged AoE, Going Commando is a burst DPS, Warcry is a group buff. I'm looking here for anything else. Going a lefty and righty. That's not even really a soldier thing. That actually previewed in a Outlander. But 2 pistols deal lots of damage per second, fire so many shots per second, last 10 seconds. Presumably lefty and righty don't consume any ammo. And they used to require a pistol being equipped. I don't even know if it requires it anymore. But if you'll notice, every single one of these soldiers, you're looking at Going Commando, Frag Grenade, Shockwave, or Warcry. You have 4 abilities, whereas the Constructor had 6. They really need to do some TLC on these soldiers. I don't know what they'd be able to do for it, but there's nothing about a soldier that really makes me want to go in and say, hey, I want to play a soldier. And just to kind of put a real big pin on that, this is this is a great perk. Eliminations heal you for 117 base health over 3 seconds. If I was playing a soldier and I was playing a tanky soldier, I'd be playing Survivalist Jonesy. And oh my gosh, I don't want to play Survivalist Jonesy. And the reason for that is because everything else about being a soldier is just not good. So the other two classes are ninjas. And ninjas, we'll go ahead and just grab our Alchemist Sarah so we can take a look at her. Ninjas got some really cool buffs. They went from just having Mantis Sleep, which is all they really got, to getting Shadow Stance added. This used to be a character perk. There used to be a couple of ninjas that got Shadow Stance. Now they all get it. After eliminating one enemy with melee weapons, enter Shadow Stance for 4 seconds. Shadow Stance increases armor by 60 and movement speed by 15%. They get no cooldown for this ability. They basically are a melee class. As they wade in and start actually taking down one enemy, they have to take down one enemy with a melee weapon, and that is not your pickaxe, as I've discovered. You enter Shadow Stance, and entering Shadow Stance, you basically get some buffs that are going to let you stay in the fray and mow some stuff down. Mantis Sleep is amazing. No fall damage, double jump, the places you can go, the people you can see with a ninja is just crazy. Then we get to abilities, and we'll go over here to take a look at the abilities. So we have Smoke Bomb, which is an AoE that does a dot damage. Throwing Stars, which is a burst attack, which can hit multiple targets. Dragon Slash, which is a charge move, which hits a lot of enemies all at once. And then we have Throwing Stars, Dragon Slash, Smoke Bomb, Throwing Stars, Smoke Bomb, Dragon Slash, Crescent Kick. Yeah, I knew they had another move. Crescent Kick is a... Well, let's just go ahead and look at the inspec, because I'd never use it. Oh, okay. Crescent Kick. Spin Kick, stuns enemies, deals damage. So it's AoE stun, and it does some damage. So it's really good in the melee zone, I would suspect. But, yeah. Kunai Storm. That's a new one. Kunai Storm is vault into the air, hurl a barrage of kunai at your enemies. Oh, cool. So standard kind of Naruto kind of ninja, jump up, throw all the kunai. So, but they're ninjas. They were considered to be the most one-dimensional character in this game before the change happened. They get more abilities, one bit more, than soldiers. I guess there could be an argument for lefty and righty, but as we discussed, lefty and righty isn't really a soldier thing, it was an Outlander thing. And speaking of Outlanders, we'll go to what I consider to be the biggest character change, was the Outlander. Let's go ahead and pull up who we used to use. Who is that? Where is he? There we go. Bloodfinder AC. So, anti-material charge. This was something that all the Outlanders originally had, I believe. Maybe not. I don't think they had any of that. They did have the loot llama thing. That's been a huge change, though. So Outlanders go around, they find little caches, which have what's called a charge fragment. There are blue ones, which were used for abilities. There are purple ones that were used for llamas. Outlanders were able to always carry charge fragments with them and go places. That's no longer the case. What happens now, if you find a purple charge fragment cache, you automatically deposit the loot llama and you start beating up on the loot llama there. Outlanders used to be really good for people that were building a base, like myself. As you would go, you would get the loot llama, you would bring it to wherever the base is being built, you would drop it down, you would bust open the loot llama, and as the constructor and the other people lost materials, they would be able to go and grab that and come back. There was a separate button for loot llamas. So you had your towers and you had your loot llamas, and you were able to kind of be this really good supply line. That's gone. So that's a huge change that requires some difference in mentality and how you play things and how you actually do certain build outs. In the zone used to be an ability that certain special outlanders got as their specific perk. It was discovered that a lot of people were using it specifically for that perk, so it's now a consolidated thing that everybody gets. This is why we ran Bloodfinder AC, because in the zone was one of those things that he was able to get. Anti-material charge, I'm 99% certain that that was something that all Outlanders got. So, moving back to the overall of the Outlanders, though, because again, bonuses are kind of what people are looking for their main character, and to kind of augment some stuff. You'll notice that a lot of these seem to be ability based to a point, and like everything else. And you'll notice a little bit that some of these things sound a little different. But they're, they have some really huge differences between the intro perk and the extra perk. And so Outlanders, as far as I can tell, really, really, really more than any of the other characters, are heavily dependent upon these perks. But ability-wise, they're like the other ones. They have about 6 abilities. There's a Seismic Smash, which is a forward cone kind of AoE. Phase Shift, which is a teleport, which really doesn't do much. I mean, if we look at abilities here, quickly dash through space, gaining 30% increased movement speed for 3 seconds. It's really good if you're out and about in regular zones. If you're in a special rule zone where you are not able to consistently get energy, it's garbage. Seismic Smash, again, conical forward AoE. Teddy, you drop an actual teddy bear, and it has Gatling guns, and it opens fire. So here we go. Seismic Smash, Phase Shift, Teddy. These two have the exact same abilities. This character has the exact same abilities. This character has the exact same abilities. Here we go. Fourth ability, Shock Tower. Shock Tower is like the teddy bear, but instead it's just a lightning device. Shocks your enemies and stuns them. The stun is important in some cases. You're going to want to be able to actually keep things from beating on stuff. But if you look, your actual attack abilities, your actual abilities, just pretty much are the exact same 4. The exact same 4 over and 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 over. And it just makes me wonder why they even bother with some things. So it, that was a large bit of the changes though with these guys. I know that the reason why you even would grab some of these guys is because of their perks, and we'll go into an actual zone in just a second to just kind of explore something. And the way we'll do that is we'll go into the map, and we're going to show a seasonal zone, because this is kind of what Fortnite's become, is these seasonal zones. Once you get through all of the main questing and all the main storyline, you kind of go through and just discover whatever it is you can to find whatever it is you want to level up. And there is carrot and stick situation. Here is the stick, here's the carrot. Every time you go in a zone, you get a little bit of experience points. You're trying to hit the prize at the end there. And the best way to maximize that, of course, as we've showed in the past, has been quests. That hasn't changed. Your quests are still the same as they have always been in the quest log. So you'll notice we have a few quests here. Kill some smashers and takers, destroy some camping tents, and eliminate enemies in some really high-end zones. what we're going to be looking for is a 34 plus zone, because we're not really a DPS character typically. And if we see any smashers or takers, we'll gladly eliminate them. And we have outleveled the 34 plus zone, which is fine. Alright, so looks like this is probably going to be our best way to go about this. Alright, we're going to make sure that we're on friends, because random characters can mess up a lot of things. So let's go in here. We're going to select. And here is, so this is a retrieve the data, and we're going to show you guys the last thing that has pretty much turned into what has Save the World become. Save the World has got some interesting stuff. So we're going to go into this zone. It's not a low-level zone-ish, not really a high-level zone-ish, because we're 55. This is a 40-something recommended. We're not at the max level. But we're going in with what's considered to be the hero loadout for going into these missions. And this is, again, this is really pretty telling where the game has headed to. I could probably, for this particular zone, because it's based upon the event that's going on, which ends tonight at 8 o'clock, I could probably get a lot of people that are scrambling to try to... Alright, so sidetracked because of the audio. So yeah, the way this is all sort of tied in is that these characters now are these zones. We could go in absolutely, because it's seasonal, and get a few people that would absolutely want to play with us. Oh wow, that's not too horrible. That's not as good as we'd like it. Okay, so we're gonna start clearing this out. So again, you know, it's seasonal, and this is something that we could absolutely get people to jump in. There is been a number of individuals from the world that have joined the game, and that's great for a game, right? When you get more people playing the game, especially if it's a multiplayer game, you should be happy to see all that. You should be happy to see that you have more people. You should be happy to see that you have more players. There are a number of things that should absolutely make you ecstatic when the game that you know and love and play all the time has more people to play. And that was true for, I don't know, 10 minutes. The game is good. I still love the game, and I've put in a lot of hours since we started coming back to it. So let me first preface everything that I'm about to say with that. The second thing, though, is that even though the game is good and player base on the whole that you can find in certain areas are good as well. The bigger problem is that with any kind of public situation, you wind up having players that don't want to put forth the effort. I guess that's the best way to say it, because it is the easiest way to say it. They don't want to put forth the effort to get to where other players have been. Now, granted, I have put forth a lot of effort, so I may be slightly prejudiced against that thought process. And I've put forth a lot of time. Digrat and Alienated One and myself have played this game since just slightly after the initial early access launch. And so there are a few things that most people may not even have access to that we have access to. And there are things that we have that probably aren't ever coming back in some cases. Or if they do come back, it's going to be very, very hard for people to be able to also acquire it. So I get that some people may be like, hey, you have this really cool limited time thing, can I have it? Well, the answer to that's no. There's not a way for me to permanently give anything to anybody, and I could craft something for somebody, but some of the things that I'm wielding, some of the things that I'm using, they are not, what's the best word to say? They're not inexpensive. Alright, this is the last thing that we need to make this base build. They're not inexpensive. They're not what I would consider cheap. Let's see here. Just about done with this little fight. And again, I'm not a DPS character at all, guys. I'm not a DPS player at all. So when I get ganged up on this kind of stuff, it's just not good for me. What I do need to do is I need to equip a different weapon before this one breaks. Alright, so back to building, back to explaining other things. Alright, so we have all this up there. Alright. This is all tier 3. So, yeah, and I get people wanting to join friends. I get people wanting to play the game. I get people that are, you know, they're all like, hey, that's so cool. Where did you get that? These things are, you know, clearly you're going to see that in stuff like this. But then you get people that get demanding. You get people that are absolutely just begging for things. You get people that, the proper phrase is they want to blow somebody's mind. Like, I don't have super awesome weapons in my account. Like, I've got the Nocturno. It's considered to be a really good assault weapon. I could give somebody a Nocturno, and it would probably be one of the most amazing things that they would have for a while. And by a while, like, I mean, until they get to the higher end content. But on the flip side, it would pretty much not teach them how to play the game. And that's where we run into problems with the game itself, when it went to free to play for a brief moment, and when we had a lot of people come in, is we had all these players that were just joining the game, were just discovering how to play, and they've basically been taught not how to play the game, but how to beg for items and be carried through the game. And so that started a weird kind of arms race, right? And what that's done, long story short, is it's created things like this base out of necessity. This is not a super big base. If you look, it's recommending that I use a total of 18 out of out of out of 125 components, and we have clearly not used that. Just in case things go south, especially while we're live, we're going to go ahead and kind of improve our build a little bit here. This is a base that Digrett's called Panic at the Disco, and it's really, really small. It's considered what's known as a stall build or a jail build, and we are going to just open this. We're going to come in here. You'll notice that we can see our little objective. We have a few people that are wandering over this way, it looks like. Alright, looks like all the monsters are there too. Alright, good. So what we're looking at here is this is the arms race in Fortnite. It's really weird. It's really, for lack of a better term, it's really dumb. It is this base that I've just built here that is going to be probably the most boring part of the whole entire stream. We're going to start the mission. Now, the way this whole entire quest is supposed to be is you're supposed to build, you know, like I said, 125 is what it's requesting we do at most to get a bonus. We are currently at a sixth of what they've said, hey, you should do. We're going to go ahead and open mission control. We're going to tell it to start the objective. We're going to fire this off. We're going to then put the balloon down. And all we're doing here is we are repairing, and you can hear the music. They're coming up against this wall, which we have the trap on. In a few seconds, they're going to freeze because I'm Ice King, and his thing is that he freezes people. And then we're going to continually upgrade this. You'll notice there's a lot of hit points on the wall. You'll notice after a while, the actual wall winds up getting healed, because the way my character loadout is that my character heals the walls. That's the way this is going to go. This is a stall build. The whole entire point of this base is that the base is supposed to defend itself. You'll notice that they're dancing, they're not attacking. And we can go and jump out of here. We can just come over this way. And you'll notice that I'm basically running for my life. Because that's all we really need to do. We don't have to be at the base. We don't have to defend the base actively. Well, this thing is basically being our little disco tech. Things are going to come up to the wall. They're going to do a little bit of damage to it. They're not going to really manage to do much to the actual base itself. This thing is going to continually just keep repairing itself wherever it has the bonuses. And that's it. Every couple of seconds, it's going to get bonused, and it's going to get buffed, and it's going to get boosted, and it's going to get buffed. And this is what Fortnite's become, because we have this, I don't want to say toxic community, But we have this community of people who jumped into the game, and all they wanted to do was be carried through. And they demanded weapons, they begged for weapons, they asked for weapons, and when they didn't get it, they kept asking for weapons and kept begging for weapons and kept asking for weapons. And then you wind up having people building sets and bases that the whole entire thing is, we're going to find a way to have the base absolutely keep me from having to play with anybody else. And that's a shame. This was a great game. This was a wonderful game. And it still is. I mean, even though I'm standing inside of a box for ad nauseum, I mean, all the minutes, right? Even though that's all I'm basically able to do, I mean, that's a miss monster. It's not able to do any damage to the base. It's not able to get all the way to where it needs to get. These things are still trying. I mean, they've broken the floor. I mean, I don't know if you guys have realized that or not, because they're no longer hammering away a little further away. And this doesn't even have the stall trap on it. They're hammering away, and they're not able to out DPS any of the base. I mean, they keep trying, and they keep trying, and they keep trying. And there's the Mist Monster. You saw him for a second. This guy is like frozen through. But this has become how you play Fortnite now. You take the game mechanic and you go in your disco base and you dance. And you, I mean, that's it. Storm's changed directions. The defenses have been attacked. These things are trying their best to hit the base. And in a few more seconds, it will start healing itself again. And again. And again. And once there's enough on one wall, you'll notice that my base's ability to repair itself will start losing a little bit. Just a little bit. Not all of it, just a little. But they're still hardly able to like chip at the armor here. And if they do get through, I mean, and this is, I mean, look at them. Look at them, guys. They've done 20% of the damage. We're still getting building credit because the base is repairing itself. So I'm getting actual points for that. And we did hit the repair because it's going to fully repair the space up. They took all that time to chip away at 20% of it. And we rewarded them by basically undoing all the damage they did with like 6 pieces of metal. And this is, again, because of the way the environment has gone, because of how, I don't want to say toxic, but needy, gimme, self-entitled, I guess, are ways to say it as well. Because of the way the community has gotten this weird disparity of people demanding that they be brought into zones they're not high enough for, to get weapons that they don't have materials to craft even. The community come up with a solution, and it's a working solution. It's not a fun solution, but it's a working solution. And I mean, here they are beating on this wall, In a few more seconds, it's going to repair itself, and they're not going to get through. And I mean, you can see how there's like a lot of husks just there. And this build hardly takes any metal. We came in here with 4,000. We haven't even used 1,000. We can go and do this mission. Those aren't even part of the actual mission that were there. But so you can see that the game has definitely evolved a lot. There are a lot more missions, a lot better missions, different mission types than what we've seen. That clearly was the easiest one to jump into to let you guys see a little bit of how the game has changed from a graphical perspective as well. Not much. One-liners are still there, music's still there, the hilarity of the husks dancing and having a good time sometimes is still there as well. But the game that we fell in love with in 2017 is no longer here. There's something fun, something playable. I enjoy spending a couple hours a week on it these days, but I feel like the thing that made this game so much better was playing it with friends and occasionally with community members, and the community members unfortunately just aren't the same anymore. But we are going to look for Saving the World this September. Every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Hit me up at 7 a.m. Eastern if you're wanting to play Turtle Club. I know this won't work for but I will gladly let you guys jump in and play some missions with me and run it around on not